Let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so welcome back to the Action Jack-0ffs podcast, the show where we talk about the very best and favorite action movies of all time. Today we are talking about one that I don't think I ever, when we started the show, I don't think I ever would have imagined this be one of the movies that we talk about.
Well, that's just because you have a small mind. That's because you are uneducated and uncultured swine.
Yes. So it's funny that you say that because I disagree with you, and it's going to be very obvious that I disagree with you.
Hey, and that's fine.
And that's fine. You know,
We can agree to disagree. The funniest part is that we're trying to do some movies to have some different actors so that we can do the Expendables, which is arguably a dog shit movie.
which, yeah, you can make that. I don't think anybody's making that argument in favor of the
I,
Expendables.
which is my whole argument. This movie, 300 times better than the Expendables. Watch this every
See,
day.
I don't even think it gets that credit given to it. Because
Because we're here to talk about Damage.
yeah, like we're here to talk
Stone
about
Cold Steve Austin. Damage.
Stone
Bring
Cold
the
Steve
pain.
Austin, Damage.
I'm holding the DVD box.
You know what I thought was really interesting was
What's that?
I thought this was going to be one of those movies that was by the WWE studios.
No.
It's not.
Nope. No. It's way too R-rated to be by WWE.
It's not even like it's that bad of an R-rated movie. Like, I'd say the goriest thing that happens in terms of like violence is when that
It's
one
the
woman
modified brass knuckles.
slashes her wrists.
Oh yeah, well there's that as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about that is the most intense scene per se.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of the fighting violence.
Yeah, I mean, even in the fighting violence, there wasn't really like anything that gory. Just blood kind of spurting everywhere. I actually, what you said about the makeshift brass knuckles, where he punches that one guy in the face, and it looks like it leaves a mark, is really interesting. I'd be really interested to know, is that guy's name Paul Lazenby?
Let's pull up the IMDb.
Because there was a guy that Steve Austin wrote that Steve Austin broke the nose of during one of the fight scenes. And that's really like the only like major thing that took place during production.
Michael Hannes is who he punches whenever
So it's not that guy.
he's got the brass knuckles.
It's a different guy. I bet if I pull
Which
up
guy did you say?
Paul Lazenby. Paul
That's supposed to be the. Or wait, no.
Lazenby.
That's Paul Garrett.
See, I don't even recognize this guy from the movie.
Yeah, it must be one of the montage fights that he has.
Yeah, because I don't recognize.
Or he's like a stunt guy.
I'd have to see. Maybe he looked different in 2009.
It's true. All of this to say, it's a great film, and just don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Is all I'm saying.
I will say this about So Steve Austin as an actor,
As John Brickner,
kind of sucks.
Dude, are you serious?
Kind of sucks.
Dude, fuck you. Steve Austin is, dude. You're gonna sit there and defend Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fucking the best actor that we've had on these things is like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves did a really good job. Look, a lot of these guys do really good jobs because they are actors or they've been in movies with a lot longer. Steve Austin, he it's funny because you'd think being a WWE superstar, he'd be really good at acting.
No, but the opposite.
It's the opposite. He's not very good at it at all.
Oh, Cold Steve Austin says, "I just whooped your ass."
Yeah, like let's see here in terms of what he's been an actor in, and it's funny enough they do uh count a lot of his WWE stuff as as acting. But yeah, I don't know, dude. Like they try to do like, I mean, I believe him as like this bruiser type guy. I mean, that's pretty self-evident. But the whole, oh, I'm a soft tender guy, like all the soft tender moments that he has are just,
Well, because he's rehabilitated. He needs forgiveness.
I mean, sure,
He, he wants it.
he
He
wants,
obviously, well, he's obviously very brutal in the fights, and he killed a man before, went to prison. He does hard work. He kicks people's ass at the bar. You know why? After all that violence, you kind of need to be soft. You know.
yeah,
My favorite scene is though whenever he has to talk to the parole guy, and he keeps just looking more and more like a Fight Club character. And then he's eventually like, every time he's just like, good, good, got 2 jobs. Oh, I'll see you next week. He's like, can you just look at me?
yeah. That was
Look
actually
at me
kind
in
of,
the damn eyes when you talk to me.
that is pretty good. I like the scene though where he like is testing out how much the guy is listening, and the guy's
Yeah.
like, "How are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I've been uh participating in underground street fights, and it chips away a little bit at me, a day at a time. And if I work hard enough, I might be able to save up for a mental breakdown." And I was like, "Oh
See,
shit!"
that's acting
I was like,
right
"That's pretty
there.
good."
That's acting.
So Stone Cold
And he
Steve
just goes,
Austin,
wonderful.
before this, he had been in like a few TV shows.
The Condemned.
He did a movie. Yeah, he did a few movies. Like he was in The Longest Yard. He had been in, like you said, Condemned, and then I think those were the two movies he had done before this one. And then he did Damage, and then I guess he would go on to be, he would do a few more movies after this.
Well, now it's
Uh,
the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast.
and now it's, yeah, now he's got his own podcast. I thought that was pretty cool.
It's actually
Um,
pretty fun.
yeah. Oh, I love the episode he does with the Undertaker.
Anything with Mark Calloway, The Undertaker is gold to me.
Yeah.
I listen to the 6 Feet Under one all the time.
Okay, so the other actor that's actually in this that I feel like is trying his hardest is Walton Goggins, but that's because he tries his hardest in like everything he does. And you kind of take that, for whatever it means. If it means he's trying his hardest to make the film work, if he's just trying to, act in a movie that is devoid of acting, it is what it is.
Hey.
And then and Laura Vandervoort, Voort, excuse me,
Vandervoort,
Vandervoort.
Frankie.
Yeah, she does all right.
How many times did I tell you not to light him in my car, Frankie? I don't know. How many times did I listen?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, as Supergirl from Smallville is basically what I know her as.
Hmm.
And you were actually surprised when I told you about that.
Yeah, just didn't recognize her as that.
Yeah.
I always see her as. I only ever saw her in a Jigsaw where I was just like, where do I know this person from? Oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin's Damage. That's what it is.
Well, it's funny because that would have been around the same time. I think her Smallville stint was just a couple of years before this movie.
So it was actually, still kind of peak Smallville.
Yeah, I mean, it's season 6 and 7, so I don't know if you'd call that peak.
That's the where it starts to become bad.
Yeah, season 7's really forgettable. They started doing too much stuff with Brainiac. It just kind of like,
Hey. We don't need to talk about him.
yeah, it just kind of goes to shit. So
It's just like the witch season. It's all right.
yeah, yeah, that was so weird. That show's weird. Anyway, Damage is interesting because, okay, so I already talked about the acting, and it's like whatever. The acting can be so-so in an action movie and not really like make a difference. But how's the action? That's what really matters.
It's
And
incredible.
I have to say
Here we go. He's a hater.
that the action, at least in like the beginning, I thought was kind of shit. And to put it bluntly, it gets pretty decent towards the end, like
The
whenever.
first one's the dog fight, right?
Uh,
Where they go to the shipyard with the dogs. Or does he go to a
yeah,
cage one?
I
No,
think
there's a cage
there's a
one
cage
first.
one first, and it just doesn't look good. Some of the staging is really interesting though. Like I noticed there was that during the montage fight scene, he's fighting a dude on top of some semi trucks, like
Yeah,
on top of the cabs, not the
there's an MMA.
cabs.
There's an MMA brand that fights on top of those.
I've seen that, like the trailers. They were
Yeah,
the
and they stole it from
boxes.
this movie, and I've been saying it for years.
That's really dumb. It's it's dumb in the context of the movie because it's not like anybody can actually see what's going on, like on from down there where they are behind a fence.
Nah, to the death.
Um, that fight was pretty okay, like where he's fighting the Hispanic dudes. Um, he's fighting that one guy, and then he fights that one guy almost to the death. And I thought it was really silly. Like, how can you lose a fight like that? Legit. I mean, obviously none of it's legit, but how can you lose a fight like that legitimately just because you refuse to kill the other guy? Like, I understand it's underground fighting, but like, are we really gonna sit here and say that if you don't kill somebody, you lose a fight?
Yeah,
I
there's
guess.
money on it, bud.
Yeah, I guess.
Money's money.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that there was a cameo by the late great William B. Davis, the cigarette smoking man from X-Files. That's an actor right there. That scene had class.
William B. Davis,
Yeah.
the guy that
He's
like
the
he's was
he's like the rich guy that comes in at the end who's like kind of a villain but kind of the hero.
he's definitely a villain. Here's the thing: there's no main antagonist to the movie.
The main antagonist is that money never sleeps.
So you're saying it's money's the root of all evil.
Yeah, it's greed.
I gotcha. I see what you're trying to say. Dumb. Uh, no, no.
Okay, but time travel, like let's freeze some criminals and some cops and let's wake them up in the future.
See, this is your problem. You can't stand.
Because
You can't
it's
stand when
just
somebody shits
it's
on
just
your
like
movie.
this is no. I'm just saying. I really thought that this was a movie that I was gonna be like, oh, I have one that you're gonna love, and you're just nah.
I mean, okay, I'll tell you why. Because I have seen a movie that's very similar to this, and
If
it's
you say it
done.
was Jean-Claude Van Damme, I'm gonna hit you.
No, no, no. I would never. I would never.
I was about to say, God damn it, Garrett, if you say Kumite, I'm gonna hit you.
Have some faith in me. Have some faith in your boy.
All right, hit me with it.
Okay, so there was a movie released the same year, 2009, called Blood and Bone with Michael J. White. Don't, dude, don't. Let me
There's no
finish.
way.
Let me
There's no way
finish.
you're doing this
Let
right
me
now.
finish. Let me finish. Okay, one, it's an actually good movie with actual good action
What is it
scenes.
called?
Blood and Bone. You have to look it up. I know you do. Because you've never
I'm
seen it.
good. 2009, Blood and Bone. Michael Jai White.
Yeah.
Fuck you. He
Yeah.
sucks.
No, he doesn't. He's a great
He's
martial
the
artist.
worst actor ever.
But that's okay.
Is
The
this
act
the one where he's practicing karate on the fucking wooden
No, I think
dummy? And
no,
then the guys
I think
walk up and he's
that's
just like, karate's the ultimate form of mixed martial arts, even though it's clearly not.
no, I think that's like Undisputed
I'm sure you know all of
or
them.
one of those or Never Back Down, one of the Never Back Down movies or something.
You're hilarious.
But it's a movie
Ain't
about
no way.
it's a movie about a guy who's fresh out of prison
Yeah.
who goes and okay, well, to I guess for anybody listening,
Ex-con Isaiah Bowe. His name is Bowe.
listen. We have to briefly explain the plot of
Isaiah Bowe
Damage.
moves to LA after his release. His goal is to fulfill a promise to a dead friend by taking the local underground fighting world by storm, defeating every opponent and making thousands. Okay. Very, very similar.
You know who
Except there's no daughter subplot.
there's no daughter subplot, but he does have to use the money to that he accrues through underground fighting to save somebody, just like Stone Cold does in his movie. Uh, he gets more into it because there's a girl that needs a heart transplant that he's kind of like morally obligated to help out.
For reference, the quick synopsis of Damage is serving 7 years for manslaughter. John Brickner, Stone Cold Steve Austin, paroled early, begins rebuilding his life. His plans for a more peaceful existence are dashed, however, when he is approached by Veronica Reynolds, the wife of the man he killed, whose daughter needs a heart transplant,
Yeah.
plunging him into a world of underground fighting.
Yes. And they both use. Now the difference is that I think Blood and Bone has a much more solid story because it has a much more solid structure because there's a definitive antagonist to the story. I think if there had been a true antagonist to Damage, there would have been more investment. For me, this is just my personal opinion.
So you needed John Lithgow hanging out, being like, "How about you hang off this cliff?"
Yes.
Yeah, yes, actually, that would have made this movie 100 times better. In my
Any movie
opinion.
with John Lithgow in it makes it 100 times better.
You're
And
right. You know what? You know what might have helped if Walton Goggins was the bad guy.
that actually would have been pretty sick if there was a twist at the end where we find out that Walton Goggins is just this huge douchebag.
That's just he's a huge scam artist.
Yeah. Or, because, I mean, think about it. Like, all the potential antagonists they have turn out to just be, like, one off events. Like, you've got the main fight at the end of the movie with two dudes that I don't think had any lines until the final scene of the movie where that fight takes place. Which, I'll say this, the final fight is pretty decent just because it's got a lot more stuff going on in terms of like the environment, and how they like play off of things. And I won't say like the fight itself is anything spectacular, but like the fact that they're like fighting on top of that cage floor and then the cage like falls and then they like go
Very Hell in
down.
the Cell reminiscent.
Yeah, and then like he has to like dive into the oil and then get out, and I don't know, like that kind of works. And it the movie does a good job of making it to where the main character never feels like he's too overpowered. Like he's not a Bruce Lee type character where he's just like untouchable. Like at any given point in time, it looks like he could lose a fight for a little bit anyway.
He's old. He's broken. He's got knee braces every time he enters the ring.
Yeah, he's something. It's interesting. I believe it. It's believable, to say the least.
Can we call it the Damage?
Can we call it the Damage? Yeah.
What about the Bone Crusher?
Yeah, that was funny. Let's see here.
Roll credits.
Roll credits. Let's see here. He was 1964, 2009, 1964. Stone Cold Steve Austin was 45
Let's see
when
here.
he did the movie.
What are we seeing? And what is here?
Did you hear me?
Burr.
Did you hear me? Lincoln? Lincoln? Did I lose you?
Are you cold? Are you okay? What's happening?
Are you?
Is your left side okay?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, did you hear what I said?
Not really.
I said Stone Cold Steve Austin was 45 when he did the movie.
Oh, okay. It just sounded like you kept saying, "Let's see here," and then it went blank, and then you said, "Did you hear me?" And I was, "Well, yeah."
Yeah, I mean, I guess I heard
That's
you.
my fault.
No, you're fine.
I guess I hear. He seems much older than 45.
I know, right? I guess that's just from.
I thought he would at least be 50.
I assume that it's because
Those
of
ring years.
the ring years. I was gonna say that I think that's what does it. Um, but yeah, so I was getting major Blood and Bone vibes from this movie. By the way, Blood and Bone has Dante Bosco in it, and for those of you that don't know, that's the voice of Zuko from Avatar: Last Airbender, or Hook,
Bias.
or Rufio from Hook.
Bias.
There's a definite bias because I saw it in like 2009 when it was new.
I think I saw this in 2009. What is you? I just always thought Michael J. White was such a fucking poser.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so interesting because I view him as like a true movie martial artist. Like he's a true martial artist for sure.
yeah, but that's the keyword movie martial artist.
I don't know. I mean, he's
Like
definitely
you can say that Steve Austin is a fake fighter for sure because he does WWE, but like Michael J. White just does movies.
yeah, but he's got like black belts and stuff.
Yeah, but like
I mean,
that's one thing.
I will
It's
say
that's cool that you're a really good teacher and stuff, but like if you have no actual fights or anything, you're not. It's not real.
I will say this that I think there's some credence to what you're saying because I always felt the same way about Jet Li because Jet Li always says he's never been in an actual fight, but he's Jet Li at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's the same argument with like Bruce Lee. You're like, yeah, sure,
Yeah, but Bruce Lee's actually been in real fights.
yeah, but it's also all before mixed martial arts. And once mixed martial arts comes around, then it's like, well, yeah, you could be the best at karate, but that really doesn't mean anything.
True. I mean, things were different back in the day. Like things were different
Of
back in the
course,
70s and 80s and
of course.
90s. And
That's
then
why Michael Jai White present day means nothing.
means nothing, I think, is a little extreme. I mean, like, for instance,
Means nothing for sure, but it's like he is the same level of fighter as Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're entertainers.
I was going to say, I would never say Stone Cold Steve Austin I would never say Stone Cold Steve Austin is a fake fighter, first and foremost.
No,
Because Stone
they're
Cold
they're
Steve Austin,
entertainers. They're performers.
regardless of whatever age he is, would
Hmm.
kick the living shit out of me.
Oh yeah, he's a man's man.
He would beat the piss out of me in a heartbeat. Because here's the thing, I look at, and this is an interesting discussion topic in general, just like the different fighters or different martial artists or different actors in action movies in general, and like what they're capable of in real life versus what they show in movies. Like, for instance, Keanu Reeves is, yeah, he actually practices martial arts.
Yeah, he's like from the what was it the Matrix, and then he's also like gun hand to hand combat and stuff since John Wick and stuff.
Yeah, he's been training a lot in guns and gunfighting and martial arts in general and stuff like that. And there's also like a certain athleticism that comes with, I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he carries over the athleticism he brings from WWE. Because you can say whatever you want about guys that work in WWE. At the very least, they're fucking athletes.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're you're taking big bumps. You're
Yeah,
carrying big dudes.
yeah, you're taking big bumps, you're carrying big dudes, you're running all over the ring, you're doing stuff, and you have the ability to make a fight look like a fight, even if it's like over the top and entertaining. You can make it look like a fight, and I think that to some degree carries over into an action movie, and that's why I look at the action scenes and I'm just like, I just don't think the action scenes are choreographed really well, or I don't think the cinematography really works to their advantage. I think that Stone Cold Steve Austin is doing the best he can with what he's able to transfer over in the action sequences, but without, and the other thing too is they've got MMA fighters as a lot of the jobbers that are used in the film, like a lot of the montage guys and stuff like that. Like they're MMA fighters from what I read. So they actually know how to fight too. So there's a lot that's being carried over into these to make the fights look like fights. But whether or not it looks like entertaining fights, I think is like up for debate.
And it's also just the different styles of movies that we're talking about. Because this one, it's not really about being a mixed martial artist or anything. These are just like rugged fucking truckers fighting in back rooms and cages and shit. There's the one first guy that he fights with the teeth in Damage,
Yeah.
where it's just this big overweight, not a fighter, just a burly guy who's shaved his teeth down. And they
Yeah.
introduce weapons and stuff. It's just not the same style. Maybe it was just not because, you're used to the Michael Jai White 300, 360 kicks and whatnot.
Yeah, like it's not a martial arts movie. And
No.
there's a definite distinction between an action movie and a martial arts movie because martial arts obviously is a subgenre of the action genre, and something like Damage does not fit into the martial arts genre even though there's a lot of fighting, even though the whole movie is centered on fist fighting.
Mm-hmm. Because it's more like a Fight Club
If
style
anything,
fight.
yeah. If even worse, it's actually a lot like that movie with Channing Tatum fighting. Do you remember that?
Kinda.
Like, yeah, I think it came out in like 2010. Oh no, it's another 2009 movie.
God, 2009, they just were all upset. It was, 10 years after Fight Club. They just wanted it to come back.
Yeah, all these movies were about guys getting into underground fighting for some reason.
I guess it was just a big deal in
I
the early aughts.
You know what I think it was is I can't I wish I could tell which movies came out first. April 24th was fighting. What I want to say is cuz usually this happens in Hollywood is a movie will get leaked and
And then
people
everybody steals the script,
and then everybody steals the script. Like it
or at
famously
least the premise.
they steal the premise or and then change it up just barely.
The White
Like
House Down versus Olympus Has Fallen.
yes, perfect example. Perfect example for action jack-offs is two action movies that are basically like copying each other. I don't know which one came out first. I'm pretty sure
I think
White.
they came out the same year.
They definitely came out the same year. I just don't know which one released first. I think it's because it's always a race to see who gets released first. Because I think Fighting was released in April of 2009, and then Damage was released in January
Oh,
of. Well, this says it was released in January of 2010, but I know it's a 2009 film.
yeah, the box here says 2009.
Yeah, and
Maybe
then
it was one of those where it had two different premieres or something.
something like that. Like maybe its worldwide release was 2010,
Uh-huh.
and then Blood and Bone was February of 2009. So the real question
It's
is,
probably the closest.
which one? Because just because the one that's released first is the one that came out first does not mean it was the one that everybody was copying.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of reminds me of those Hercules movies that came out back in 2014. Like there was the one with The Rock called Hercules that came out in like
Oh
summer.
yeah,
It came out in the summer, and then there was the one called Legend of Hercules that came out in January of that year.
very weird.
Yeah, that one actually, a bit of a tangent. That one had Scott Adkins in it, and I hope one of these days I hope we do a movie with Scott Adkins in it because he's a great movie martial artist too.
It's just such a strange little segue.
I know it was just so far off the rocker, but like I had to mention that real quick.
Really like it.
Okay, so like talking about damage, what? And
So,
I've said the things I need to say. What are some of the things you really wanted to get to talking about with this movie?
so this is like one of those movies that I think this exact DVD is the only one I have, and I've owned it this whole many years since probably like 2012. Because I probably didn't see this right when it came out. It was like a Walmart, you know,
Yeah.
just go to the Walmart dollar section or Walgreens or whatever.
Right.
And I would do that all the time. And it would just be like, B movies, whatever. Sometimes you get a good one for cheap. But I just always thought this one was awesome. I always thought it was real good. Never was a big fan of the Jean-Claude Van Damme or the martial arts films very much. But I did love watching WWE wrestlers do movies.
So, would you ever be interested in doing another WWE movie? Like, I don't think we'd do another Stone Cold Steve Austin movie, but like
The Condemned one's pretty crazy.
if
It's
we
pretty dark.
if we did John Cena or something,
Yeah, we could do the 12 rounds.
or The Rock,
Yeah, the Rock's got a whole plethora of
Th-
different movies.
there's a whole
I was trying to think of
subgenre.
doing a funnier one though,
Oh yeah, there's like Central Intelligence or something,
or Chaperone.
or The Rundown.
Oh, the Rundown's pretty good.
We don't want to
Have
get
you seen Chaperone?
no, I've never even heard of it.
I think it's called Chaperone or something like that. It's Triple H is like a chaperone or something for a school field trip that somehow turns into
Oh yeah, you just opened up the fucking floodgates. Holy shit, I know what you're talking about now. Hold on, Triple H,
Triple H movies. Yeah, Chaperone,
Chaperone,
2011.
The Chaperone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh my god, dude,
Oh yeah, Ariel Witzer's in this.
that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, this is like
she's the daughter from Modern Family.
yeah, Ariel Winter.
Yeah,
When she's real little, oh my gosh, look at the pictures.
I know, that's pretty nuts.
That's like before.
I think so.
Yeah, that's like right before, or right during. That's crazy. I forgot that was her. Yeah, that's like one of the first movies whenever I had to be like 12 where I realized that the wrestlers were like
Oof,
could do acting.
oof, but it had a terrible box office.
Oh, it did really bad.
They all do really bad, don't they? Except for like the Marine.
Yeah,
I feel like if we did one, we'd have to do the. If we did a John Cena one, I feel like we'd either doing 12 rounds of the Marine.
very similar premises.
Ooh, the Marine has a 17% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It might be perfect.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You'll defend that.
I'm just saying. No, that
And
movie's
this one
dumb.
is
No, the
just
Marine
as
is
good as
dumb.
those.
The Marine is dumb. Here's
I'm
okay.
not
I'll
saying
say
this is
this.
a I definitely in the text we're saying like this is gold, you're an idiot. But it's definitely a bad movie. Let's not get this twisted. Damage is not a good movie. But it deserves its place in these action movie podcasts.
I'll say yeah. No, I mean like if we okay, definitely like at some point I would have been like yeah I'll do a Stone Cold Steve Austin movie, and if you were like oh man we got to do Damage. Damage is a great Stone Cold movie, and I
That's
guess
exactly how this happened.
I don't have a frame of reference. This is like the only Stone Cold Steve Austin movie I've seen where he's like the main guy in the movie.
There's
So
only one other one really, which is Condemned.
okay, because I was gonna say like I don't have the frame of reference to be like, oh this is
Sorry.
you're fine, this is good or this is a great performance or something. I just go based off of like how I view movies in general, and I'm like, oh, this is a terrible performance. The acting sucks, the action sucks. But there are moments, and I always will always identify those moments when I say to myself, okay, this movie is trying to be a movie. The movie is actually trying to be a film and not just some fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin exploitation film.
And that scene is the parable of the forgiving slave.
One, cause I honestly like I barely remember that. If you remember that parable, you feel free to recite it. But
I don't think they ever actually say the parable in it. I think they just kind of talk about it. It's the scene where he's talking
Deacon,
to the voice of what is his name from Flapjack? Captain Knuckles.
oh my god, is that who that is?
Yeah, he's talking to Captain Knuckles,
That's
and he's
hilarious.
in the scene. It's the scene in the movie that I always think makes this a real movie versus some of the other action movies that are just, hard target and shit.
Yeah,
It's because it's the bookie slash referee slash whatever that's been at all these fights, and he's kind of their friend, but he's kind of not their friend. He's kind of working for
he's
himself
he's a
and kind of
sometimes
helping them.
ally.
He's a sometimes ally, and Stone Cold Steve Austin's character comes to him to ask for advice, and he brings up this story that he had said that the other guy had brought up several times. But at this moment, he's drunk and isn't really like saying stuff. He's like, "Oh, that's a parable. It's just a story." Blah 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 blah. He's like, "Well, no, you told me the story, and I think I need to do this." And he like works it out for himself while just like spitballing off this guy who's drunk off his ass.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a real well acted good scene in the middle of this shitty ass movie.
Yeah, I mean scenes like that. I know a scene you're talking about, by the way, and it's like where they're talking to each other and
It's
Deacon's
right before the main
it's
fight.
right before the main fight. Or it's right before Deacon puts up the money for the main fight.
That's what his name is, Deacon. I kept being like, what the fuck is.
They call him Deacon. I don't know if that's his real
Yeah,
name, but it's Deacon. Um
I still have Blood and Bone pulled up.
great movie. Um
Yeah, it just has him as Deacon.
yeah, I just
God, what a good young picture they have for him on IMDb. What a stunner.
yeah, you would never be able to tell that that's him from the movie. He looks like he's from The Godfather in that picture.
I know, that's a fucking. That's a good looking guy.
LMAO. Yeah. So there's just like scenes like that that's just kind of like come through, and they're like, oh yeah, this is definitely a movie. Like this definitely feels like a film. Um, but then like the rest of it is just like, oh man, this is fucking stupid, or oh man, this is dumb. Um, you know what? I will say this. The one thing that kind of threw me by surprise. I did not expect the when the foreman at the beginning of the movie at the construction site passed out and started having a heart attack. I did not expect that sequence to come back and play into the movie way later,
Oh yeah.
because I watched this movie, and I know you make fun of me for this, but like I had to watch this movie in two different sittings
Uh-huh.
because I fell asleep halfway through it. I don't remember when I did. I just fell asleep like an hour into the movie, and then I picked it up, some days later when I had some time, and I finished it. And I I barely remembered the first half of the movie. So whenever it got to the scene where he's talking to, what's his name, Veltz or Vets or something, uh, and he's like, it's the guy that Walt Goggins and Frankie,
The
uh,
cigarette smoking man.
he's the guy that they owe money to,
Yeah, Belts.
and Veltz is like, oh, you saved my foreman, because he owned the construction company that Steve Austin happened to be working for, and also
And it's
quits.
also his wife's or his daughter's husband.
Yeah, and also happened to be the fighter that was fighting for Reno, Walt Goggins' character. So that was just one big, huge coincidence, but that's besides the point. When it got to that moment, Veltz was like, oh, you saved that guy. I kept thinking to myself, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? So I had to go back and like fast forward through the movie in the opening beginning just to like remember that there was an actual scene where he saved somebody's life, because it had not been brought up or mentioned at any point in the movie. And
It's
it
good storytelling.
it had been like an hour and 30 minutes later or something like that. Like,
Good storytelling.
it reminds me a lot of that. Okay, it is good storytelling. I don't know if this is an effective example of using it, but an effective example of using it is like in Training Day, if you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah, very similar to Training Day,
where he like,
where he saves the girl from getting mugged,
yeah, and then
and it
later in
happens
the
to be the guy's kid
yeah,
sister or something.
damn dude, you want to talk about a good ass movie? You're talking about
That
Training
Training
Day.
Day is a good movie.
Training
Let's
Day is a great
hey
movie.
Pelican Bay,
Yep.
I'm
Uh,
King Kong.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
It's a pretty good, actually, pretty good voice.
Yeah. Um. But no, yeah. Damage. Damage has like some good things about it, some bad things about it. I think it's mostly just. I think it's when I texted you after I finished the movie, and you were like, "What did you think of it?" And I was like, "It's a movie." I think that's my genuine feelings about it. Is like it's just a movie to me. It's not like a
It's
movie
just
that I
a
think is
movie.
just. It doesn't elicit negative emotions from me, if that makes sense.
Hey, it's just a good fun read. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else
Well,
you want to say about the movie?
nah, I think it's a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
think it's real fun. I think it's a solid B tier movie.
Oh,
Solid
that's
a
a
solid
fucking
rank.
laugh.
Ah,
That's a fucking hoot.
you're a hoot.
Oh, when we
It's
actually
solid
do the
B
tier,
tier.
when we do the tier listing, don't expect damage to be anywhere near the B tier.
It's gonna be near the B tier.
Yeah, if you consider the fucking D tier near the B
No,
tier.
no, no, no. We're gonna have to move some stuff around then.
Sure, sure. We'll move some stuff around, but
We're gonna have to do some negotiating on where some of your favorite things are right now.
okay, yeah. And it's gonna be funny too, because my opinions may have changed on like some of the movies we've seen, because like opinions change. Opinions change.
Hey,
That's how
that's
these things
fine.
work.
My opinions are definitely gonna change.
Um, so do you want to debate what the next movie is gonna be, or do you want to do that
Hey,
off camera?
hey, no, we can do it right now. We can do whatever you want, buddy, since you had to suffer so much.
I will say this. What was it we were talking about leading up to this? I don't remember. I'm not even gonna get into it, but uh I'm so glad. I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking about this on a drive I was taking either yesterday or today. I was like, man, I'm so glad we're out of the picker wheel era.
It's so hard.
That was tough, man.
I was renting so many movies.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if it's not streamable, I do not want to fuck with it really. Like if I don't have it on DVD or like if it's not streamable and I don't have it on DVD, I'm not fucking renting it. I'm not buying it.
I'm not doing it. That's why I just had to pop this DVD in.
Yeah, because you had the DVD. I streamed it on Tubi, which is free. It's a free subscription service. You don't have to pay for it. A little plug for Tubi there. All the Tubi.
Hey, hey, Tubi, give us $5 for that.
Oh, dude, if Tubi sponsored this video, I would be all I would print out Tubi T-shirts and all that
Well,
shit.
no. We would have them send it to us. We don't want to print out stuff from them.
Yeah, but I do it for free.
But I do it for free.
So some movies that I was thinking about. So okay, we talked about doing the Expendables. I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure the Expendables is not streamable currently.
Where's Rocky 4 right now?
I thought we agreed Rocky 4 doesn't count.
Rocky 4 is the best. I don't care.
So
Oh yeah, because it doesn't count as an action movie.
yeah.
It's all montages. I don't get it.
Um so some other options I was looking at was we've not done like a legit martial arts movie.
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking we could probably fit that in there somewhere. And I was thinking we either do one of two things. We either do a Jackie Chan movie or a Bruce Lee movie.
Probably be more partial to a Jackie Chan.
Okay, so I was thinking we could probably do Police Story, which
What's
is
that on?
that's on Max if you have Max.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Done.
Done. You okay with that?
Let's do it.
All right. Next movie is
Put
gonna
it in the
be
books.
Police Story on Max.
We're just gonna we're gonna do a podcast about Max.
Yeah. Just Max. Yeah. Dude, get Max to sponsor us. There we go.
Dude, HBO, please.
Yeah. Facts. Oh, Marv popped in for the last final seconds here. Bye, Marv.
Bye, Marv.
Nice to see you. We'll talk to you later. Hey, we're doing Police Story next if you want to keep up with us. All right, that's gonna be it from us, guys. And don't forget, the YouTube video goes up next day on YouTube. This video goes up next day on YouTube.
Good job.
Yep. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Peace.